Yo, what's up, everybody? I'm sitting here with Lizzy Jane from
Yo, what's
Tampa,
up?
Florida. What's up? What's up? Um, I want to say I'm so excited to have you on finally. We've been playing like phone tag and email tag. It seems like forever.
Yeah, I'm
And
stoked. No, I'm
and
stoked
it's
we could
been
make this
busy for
work.
both of us. But it's I'm glad to finally have you on and everything.
Absolutely.
I want to say is you seem like one of the hardest working people I've seen. I mean, ever since we
Oh,
first started talking,
thank you.
you were saying like, yeah, I want to come on. I got some stuff that's coming up that's really busy and blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. I understand that. And then it was just like I would see on my feed like, boom, like EXO Fest, Stream Fest, another stream, another stream, another stream, another stream. You were just like pumping
Yeah.
stuff out like left and right. And and that's something at least for me. I just you can't get mad at that. I mean, some people like would get mad and be like, "Oh man, like she's not coming on the show or blah blah blah." But I always look at that and I'm like, nah, she's working her ass off and she's like killing it right now. Like no one
No,
can
I
be mad at
appreciate it.
that.
Yeah, I
Um,
appreciate it for
so
sure.
just know, I think a lot of people have seen that seems like you're working extra hard these days.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah, yeah. So has the corona virus and everything that's gone on put a little dent in your work or anything like that?
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
think it has,
I mean,
but
most definitely, especially like being in the industry that we're all in. Like even in your industry, it's just kind of like hit everybody with like a brick wall.
yeah.
However, when this happened, when it was kind of the end of March, I was like, okay, this isn't going to be changing anytime soon. You need to figure out a way to adapt and stay relevant. And
Mhm.
I really wasn't sure how it was going to work, but I knew I had to buy a webcam. I had to get some CDJs. I had to learn how to stream. And then I had to learn how to still be able to, be uh,
Relevant.
spreading or yeah being relevant and being providing people with educational content and content that is intriguing people to continue watching me
Mhm.
and like following my journey. And that's when I was like, okay, you need to do production and demo streams. You need to play any quality live stream that you can get your hands on or get invited to play, and you need to hold your own festival so people come to your own profile. So I thought that was
Yeah.
like the perfect way to extend EXO Radio into
Mhm.
EXO Fest. And a lot of people on EXO Fest have either done a mix or an interview for me, or they have a mix coming up for me in the future. So it's like perfect. It kind of just all fed into each other. And if I had worked with them previously, they were totally down to play. So that was really cool. And it also like gave me the opportunity to really play in front of a bunch of people who didn't know who I was, or maybe they heard my name once or twice, but I don't really consider myself a full-time like touring producer yet. Like I've done kind of like independent shows. I've
Mhm.
done like tour runs like with Snails, like how I was supposed to do with Black Tiger Sex Machine, where you do 5 or 6 dates on their tour, but you're not on like a 40-date tour where you're hitting 40 cities.
That's awesome,
So this,
though. Yeah,
yeah, so
gives
this
you a
gave
little
me the
picture
opportunity to
of
do that.
how everything's
Yeah,
going on.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
didn't even know that was a thing. So can you explain that a little bit more? So you had the opportunity. Obviously, I know with Corona, BTSM didn't even come to Florida, but like
Yeah.
you would tour with them for what, 5 shows in Florida, kind of like
Yeah,
hit
so
every
that's
spot
what I
type of
did
thing.
with Snails. Is he had his like World of Slime tour in
Mhm.
December,
Yeah.
and I did Atlanta, Pensacola, Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, and Tampa. And then I did his New York date with him at District 5 or Terminal 5
Mhm.
in New York. And so that was really cool. And Haim Ghost was on that tour. And when I was in New York, JCO was on the tour. And when we were down here, Company was on the tour. So it's cool. I mean, you just join them
That's
for
awesome.
a run of the tour, but it's like great being in your region. They know that you're going to bring people out, and it gives you that opportunity to start building your EPK and resume with like really quality spots, because those are like big tours. So
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
cool. And I was going to do the same thing with Black Tiger Sex Machine, and then we had 2 more kind of small 5 to 10 day runs that were unfortunately canceled because of everything going on. So it sucks, but like playing Groove Cruise live stream and like EDC live stream, like they didn't really know who I was before this, and
Mhm.
now I've gotten a legitimate booking from one of those live streams, and then I've got other people who have music coming out on their label because of the live stream. So it's like it definitely isn't a loss, even though you're not really getting paid for the live streams. Most people aren't. The benefit is like, okay, you did this, you put in the time, and now when everything gets back to like the new
Normal.
normal or
Mhm.
whatever, and there's like events and like festivals again, that's when you're like, okay, hey, we're touching base, and that's when you get an offer to do a show.
See, but that's what's important is you kind of have that insight to where you're seeing that like, hey, okay, I'm gonna play, EDC Discovery, and yeah, it's not. I'm not getting paid. I'm taking time out of my day to do it, and granted, most of us are home anyways, so it's like whatever.
Yeah,
I might as well. But
definitely.
it's so important, and it's good to see that you have that insight of like, if I do
There's
this, and
so
if
much
I,
gain on the back end if you're
yes,
like not
exactly,
looking short term. And I feel like so many people were looking short term. And like, of course, everybody's not in my position. Like, hell yeah, if I was Excision, if I was Seven Lines, if I was Gammer, hell yeah, I would take a break. This is the perfect time. You've been touring for over 10 years. Like, take
yeah.
a break,
I don't blame him.
But for people in like my position, or people who you see on like festival circuits and like the lower billing to middle billing, like this is kind of a make or break moment where it's like, okay, are you just going to sit on your ass, or are you going to make the most of your situation? And I really feel like for how long this has gone on and how long I think it's going to go on, there's going to be a huge batch of artists that you potentially never see their names again. And there's going to be a huge batch of artists that start to kind of infiltrate those lower levels on festival circuits.
Absolutely.
And like they get their fucking shot, which is really cool. And if I had a chance to take advantage of that situation, to be in that batch of people, I think this was the time to do it.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I think you've achieved it. If not, you're on the road to achieve it, because
Thank
you have been
you.
putting in that work. Like I said, I'm just, because I followed you on my Instas and stuff. I see all that stuff you're putting out, and I see that you keep on this live stream. I'm now working with this live stream. I mean, we were just discussing it, and I wanted to know some questions about that. So you were on EDC Discovery. How does that process work? I mean, how did you? I don't even know. I know they offered it. I don't know how that. So you just apply, and then they check out a music. You send in a mix. They listen to it, and they go, "Okay, we want that person."
It was just kind of one of those things where like, I'm never gonna be like, oh, I'm like too good for that, and that's where I feel like some people shoot themselves in the foot, because they think they're at this like level where they're too good to do something or submit to something. But like, I had 2,500, 3,000 people like watching my whole entire set that had never seen me, never heard of me, like a bunch of international people. And now I have some of those names pop up in every single stream. I have some of those names who have given me my biggest donations over streaming, like during this time. So that alone is a gain, just by the amount of viewers who are like actively participating. And secondly, it was just, you submitted a live stream, and there was a submission date, and there were requirements and qualifications. But like, I think a lot of it did have to do with, I mean, my presentation was pretty good for sure, but it wasn't like I did it in a club. Like a lot of people, I could tell like they rented out a club. Like they went to a club and they did their set. Like I just had a green screen and I did my thing. But I think when I linked like my bio and my social medias and like my previous releases, they were like, oh, this girl's actually doing something. She's not like some like bedroom DJ who has no releases, who doesn't make her own music, like da-da. So I think that gave me like a level up. And then it was just cool. It was cool. I sang in my set and they digged it. And then like a few days I heard back from them and they were like, yeah, you've been selected, da da da. And it was just kind of very cut and dry from then on. But they realized my name when I had someone who I had collabed with recently submitted some demos to one of their sub labels. And like now we have a song coming out on one of their sub labels in September. So like it's like that helped with that process, and that's like big.
Absolutely. And that's huge. That's freaking awesome. I totally forgot what I was gonna say about it. But anyways, regardless, like that's awesome. So, and you also did another live stream that was a big one, the Groove Cruise one. We were discussing a little bit beforehand. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't know much about the Groove Cruise one, and I know I didn't watch it. I was on a super weird schedule this quarantine where I actually was working for my job. They changed it, and we needed to work on the weekend. So I was working mainly weekends. So I would even I would come home and just crash. I missed so many live streams of a lot of people. Even the big names, I missed a couple of those big name ones where I wanted to just hang.
There were so many live streams, like right out the bat when everybody was like, okay, we got to get on the game. Like there's way fewer now, or way more few now. But like that mid-April to mid-May block was definitely filled with so many streams, like so many. But Groove Cruise is kind of like Holy Ship, where it's a cruise that leaves out of Miami.
Okay. And
last year I think like Cascade played, Ali and Fila, Above and Beyond. Destructo throws it. he owns a few properties. Like, he owns Lifestyle, which puts on Spring Awakening. I think they assist in Sunset Music
Love Spring
Festival. Like,
Awakening.
they do Izu. Yeah, so like it's pretty big, and like Destructo owns it. And so he throws Groove Cruise too. And it's definitely more of a house thing, like Holy Ship is, than a
Yeah.
bass thing. But when they have bass acts, like the bass acts are pretty big. So they invited me, and they had a few people on my management team, like Fox Stevenson is another artist on my management team who played it, and it was just really cool. It was like a super enjoyable time, and like the chat was great. And what is cool is like that the actual event is still happening this coming fall, and like that opens the door to be booked at, you know, on the cruise,
Right, and the actual
yeah.
live ship.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, that's again another thing of just like, you don't know what the doors are going to open up down the road, and you just kind of got to take it and run with it and be like, I'm going to do it. And I mean, again, that's just something I see within so many people around me and all that. You just they don't see past that short-term gain versus the long-term run.
And this is like not a short-term career. So like, if you think you're going to go from like A to Z in a year, there's probably like 0.03 percentile of people who actually do that. And it's not actually maintainable. It's like, I'm going to take steroids and not eat for a year, and then I'm going to be shredded, but then I die because it's not maintainable.
And not lift weights, just going to take the steroids and hope for the best.
Exactly. So then it's like, that's like, it's just not maintainable. Most people who you see kind of like shoot up like that, there's a lot going on that people don't understand, like underneath the hood.
Mm-hmm.
And then like one day they're not there anymore. And that's like the reason why. So this whole thing is definitely long term. And I was about to say, like, with the streams too, it's like having music come out alongside the streams. It's like, that's how I look at the streams, as like live events. It's like you can play 1,000 live events, but if you don't have music, like, you're just captivating a very small percentage of people for a very small percentage of time, where most of the people in the crowd are not extremely attentive. So it's like, if you don't have music for them to go home and listen to, or merch or this or that, like, you're not doing your like full job to keep them in your kind of like bubble of your journey. And we had so many releases that like, this was supposed to be a really big like March to June like area for music for me, and then I got like all of my tracks pushed back. And then I released a remix for a band kind of on the metal side in the middle of May, and then like this June was now when all my releases are starting to come out. So it's gonna be like really steady, like every 2 weeks until like October. So I'm really excited. And this is like the first batch of music that I'm like really proud of, because it's like, I'm cool, like I'm glad everybody's like seeing me experiment and do stuff, but now I'm just like, okay, cool, I'm collabing with people who like I personally don't feel like I should be collabing with, and like they're all like super cool that like work with me, and like I'm learning so much. And that's what I wanted to say about like quarantine too, was like, of course I didn't want it to happen, but it was kind of a blessing in disguise for the position I was in, because I like stepped back and I learned like so many new techniques. Like, I was obviously like making music, and like I was like outsourcing to get mixed and mastered, and like I was happy, you know, using reference tracks. Like, I know how to compose, all that stuff. I was giving lessons, but I really feel like my like understanding and like my execution of how well and efficient I write music like literally went from like a like 6 to like an 8.5 over this time. And now like I'm mixing and mastering my own tracks for the most part. So I just and like I finished my EP, which wouldn't have happened until like December if I was like out doing other stuff and having to like travel and do all that stuff. So it's cool. It's cool. Now I have just like a shit ton of music alongside with everything that's being released, and I got picked up by a great management team, and like I'm doing collabs with people who like are insane. So it's cool, and I don't think any of this would have happened if there wasn't quarantine.
Yeah, and again, I'm someone who tends to look on the positive of everything. At least I try to.
Yeah,
and that's first off, that alone is just super important in this industry, and really at anything, because there's always going to be bumps in the road that come, and they might rock your world for a little bit, but then if you're able to hone in, because I know so many people that when quarantine hit, rather than digging deep and like, all right, I'm going to do this work, like what you're saying, they went the opposite route and they were like, dang, like now I can't
See,
do
and I went
this.
through that too, though. Like,
And
there were
that's,
weeks
yeah,
where
oh,
I
absolutely.
was like, man, this is rough. Because you're like working on music, you're doing it, and you're like, when is an audience ever going to hear this? Like, when am I ever going to play this live? Like, I don't
guess that's
know.
true. That's very
Yeah,
true.
yeah. It's like live streams are cool, but like they're not the real thing. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. They're cool, but they're just like the energy and like everything there. I'm like playing like heavy dubstep and I'm looking at my webcam and I'm just like, thousands of people, get the energy, you can do it.
Yeah,
And
right.
there's just like a green screen behind me. So it's definitely rough, but I think starting with like that attitude and moving forward is definitely the way to go, even though you may have like ups and downs. But I do agree with what you were saying. I saw a lot of people who were just like, F this, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, and you know, unfortunately, then they don't get ahead the way you're getting ahead or the way other people are getting ahead. And like you're saying, now because you've put in all this work in this time, you've got that place where like you're starting to get into you're creeping into those lower tier artists that are but known in a sense. So
Yeah.
and that's what's huge, and that's exciting, and I bet you're just ecstatic about all that stuff.
Oh,
But
definitely.
I would be. I mean, I understand.
I think like the 21, I mean, originally it was going to be the 2020 year, but I think the 2021 to like that spring, this coming spring to New Year's to like 2022 will be really, really, really good for me.
You know, and that's the thing I've always tried to encourage people and the friends that I talk to is like, there should, I mean, yeah, you want to put a time frame on it. Obviously, everyone wants to hit that goal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you never know like what that journey is going to be and how long it's going to take to get to where you want to be.
Absolutely
And everyone, like we were saying a little bit earlier, everyone wants it like now. They want it right now. They want it. I want to be famous now.
It's just
I want
not
this and
gonna
this.
happen.
And
I
it's
don't care
not.
how much money you have. It's
I,
not gonna happen.
I totally agree. But the fact that you're putting in that foundation, that groundwork work, and just grind, and that's what sometimes it comes down to is you got to grind at the bottom. I mean, shoot, this podcast, this is the 25th, 6th episode I've done, and I remember at episode 1, like, you know, I'm like, oh, I did one finally, and then I'm like, all right, I'll just build off that momentum. But like,
that's literally how I feel towards streaming. Sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to stream. Like, I love doing XO radios. Like, I've done, I think, 55, 56. But exactly, I remember the first one, and I was like, man, I don't know how this is going to go.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then you just see it grow over time. Like, when you're on episode 100, you're going to be like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But, like, you don't really notice how many people kind of, like, jump on the train as you, like, start to climb up those numbers. I remember when I was streaming to, like, 4 or 5 people, and now every time I stream, it's, like, 30 or 40 people, and you're like, yeah, that's not a crazy number, but like, you went from never streaming in your life to streaming once a week, every week, production session, Q&A session, and it's like sometimes it sucks to do it, but when you do it, you're like, wow, that wasn't bad, and I'm really glad I did it.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard of him or listened to him, but I listen to Gary Vee occasionally, and he's somebody who's like very optimistic on the side. And he's like, you know, people ask him, oh, I only have 100 followers or something, and he's like, you have 100 followers? And they're like, yeah, no, I know it's kind of small. He's like, no, you have 100 people that like just decided to follow you, and like think of it that way. And that's how I think of it now. Like all my pages and stuff, like even if it's small, to me, I'm like,
people have such short attention spans.
Yeah,
and
like you've grasped
such short everything. So it's like if you can do that, and like you can get like 300 people watched it full through, like that's like 300 people. That's like honestly
literally
a lot.
Like what? And then that's all it takes is 300. It only takes really like 5. I mean, if the right 5 people see it and they like it, it's gonna start moving. And it's
Absolutely.
but it's just so crazy. And that's the big key, like you're saying, we're saying, is just it starts with grinding and working hard from the beginning, because you never know how those smaller numbers can just affect everything else in the long run.
Absolutely. Like I start every day, and like I'm still unrealistic because I'll like write down my list for the day, and I'll be like, mix down this song, finish this song, do all your emails, send this, schedule your social media, and I'll do something that's like completely unrealistic. But even if I get like 4 out of those 8 things done, like it moves. It just like all is like a smaller piece of the pie that you're moving towards, and then like at the end of it, you're like, oh, it's done. Like I could write down 1 or 2 things, But it's just like, as long as I like grind as hard as I can, and then you're like, oh, you didn't get it done, but you're being unrealistic anyways, you're getting so much work done.
And you just feel good when you get those small things done. Like, yeah, you write down 8. Like, I remember some days going into work, like I would look at write my list down, and I'm like, all right, there's 10 things I can do today, and and I can actually do. And it's like, all right, I'm gonna try my hardest to get all 10, but maybe I get 7. That's 70%. Like, I can't complain. So
Yeah.
but it's good to have those goals, and like you're saying, just knock that stuff off the list, because as you keep going, you're like, fuck yeah, I'm feeling great. Like, this is great. I'm accomplishing stuff, and at the end of the day, you're like, all right, I did 8 out of 10, or maybe I did 10 out of 10 today, but I've done what I've done a lot more than I anticipated.
Correct.
Yeah, that's just. I'm with you there. It's just the hard work part. Anyways, we're getting really on a tangent about hard work and stuff, which is awesome. I love talking about that stuff. It's amazing. But let's see. I don't want to get too far off schedule or off what we were saying.
Sure.
But festival-wise, I know it's been a minute for everybody, including myself. I haven't been to one.
It's been so long. It feels like it's been so long.
Yeah, it really has. I haven't, like, the last one I went to. The last one I was Forbidden Kingdom. And so talk to me about, do you go to festivals yourself? Are there any festivals that you've played that you want to mention that you had a great time at?
So my first festival, I went by myself as a graduation present to myself after I graduated high school, to Electric Forest. And
that is quite the gift to yourself.
Yeah, and I went by myself. I went with music festival trips when they just started. And when I was 18, I'm 23 now, so when I was 18 to 20, I was working 3 jobs in school, 2 jobs in school, transferred schools, and I spent every single dime on festivals and going to shows.
I actually
every
feel
single
that
dollar.
100%.
Like, every dollar. And I was just like, I was in school for Foley Sound, and I was like, man, I was literally writing music at home, like doing stuff, wasn't doing EDM stuff. And I was just like, I can do this. Like, I can do this. And then my friend came over and taught me how to DJ. And then I finished learning how to DJ on YouTube. And then I was like, I know how to work a DAW. Like, I was primarily working in Pro Tools, but that was for more of like post-processing for like film and television stuff. So like, I'm Pro Tools certified. I was like, okay, cool. And then I went to Logic, which is what I had for school. And I was trained like classically, so I'm really good at scoring. But scoring is different than working, obviously, like in a digital, like analog software like Ableton, FL Studio. And then I went from Logic to Reason, which is like, Reason is like old as dirt way. Like Funkcase uses Reason. Like, people who've been doing this shit for like 30 years uses Reason. And still a really cool DAW, was not for me. And then I just started in Ableton, and I was like, okay, here we go. And I think I started like I played my first show the week before I turned 21, and then I put out my first song 6 months later, and then we just worked up. I took a few lessons. It was never like hard for me to write. It was hard for me to work in Ableton and like understanding mixing and post-processing, and even like, it's been like a 2-year journey, and like, hell yeah, my music is so much better, but it's like, I still have so much to learn. So that's why it's like, when I teach students like piano, music theory, beginners at Ableton and such, and I'm just like, you got to be patient, and you have to do it every day. I got out of school and I quit everything. I was working at Morton Steakhouse, and I was working at a country club, and I was playing at Ritz. And when I graduated, I was like, I'm done. Quit all my jobs, lived off of what I was making at Ritz for the residency. This is when I was on Saturdays, and I just worked on music every day, all day. Like, sucked. Like, I was so bad.
Yeah.
And then, like, it became not that bad. I took some lessons. Like, I remember Matt Peekaboo, like, before he blew up, was one of my first, like, instructors. And he, like, helped me understand structure and, like mix down techniques and stuff like that. And then, like, I really just learned it all online. Like, that's it. And having good friends, like, I kind of got in with a really good group of people. I don't deal with people who are like drama starters and like negative people, so I kind of attracted myself to the right group within the Orlando and Tampa like EDM scene, and they all happened to be really good producers. So it was like, then I had all these guys who knew a lot more than me that I could bounce stuff on and off of, and that was just like really, really cool. And And yeah, so I don't really know what the question was you
No,
asked
you're
me,
good.
but I just kind of
We were
rambled.
we were discussing about first
Oh,
festivals and then like how
festivals.
you
I'm
got into festivals.
sorry.
But I mean,
Yes,
but no,
there
no,
you
no. But
go.
don't even fret over it, because that's I mean that's gonna something we're gonna talk about anyways. Is like that beginning story of like, when did it click? Like, I'm gonna start doing this, and you just
I
explained it, which is awesome. But
Yeah.
and it's even more awesome, like you say, so many people, like when they go and they try to learn stuff, they either one, they like don't aren't open to learning stuff for some reason, or two, they're kind of shut off, they think they know everything, and like
People
you
don't
were.
understand. There's like a huge psych. I can't even speak. Oh my gosh. Okay, we'll X
There's
that out.
a,
There's a huge like thing in your mind
there's a huge battle
that
in
it
your head.
psychological.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
psychological.
psychological.
Um
Yeah,
uh uh that blocks like yourself from actually understanding information when you're very fixed on a way
yeah,
that you're previously doing. It's just like anything, like a routine, like this
yep.
and that. And like learning how to produce when you've been doing it a certain way or don't understand how to do it, or like trying to produce without understanding like music theory
Yeah.
is kind of like saying, okay, I'm gonna go from step 1 to step 5 and not know 2, 3, and 4 and like do that. And that's what people don't understand. Like that's the only reason why I learned how to produce as quickly as like I did, because I've been in music like my whole life. Like I did the band thing, I did the classic orchestra thing,
What did you play in
and
band? I'm curious.
I did bass.
Bass.
I did I had a rock band for a while that actually did really well, and I played bass and I sang, and I originally started on keyboard, and then in school I violin,
Okay.
and
Okay.
yeah, so it was kind of like on both edges, but I originally started piano when I was like 5 years old.
I had
I did
also started on
piano.
the piano. I had
Yep,
started on the
I did
piano.
piano and ballet
Mm-hmm.
from 5 to 16 years old, and then my dad made me choose between music and dance, and I said I'm way too tall to be a ballerina, so we're gonna go with music, and then yeah, and then it just kind of went from there. But that's why it was like all I had to figure out was how to maneuver this new language. It was like learning French or learning something like
Yeah.
that. It's just a new language in a workstation, but people don't understand that, and that's why people end up making rhythm that like sounds like shit and only hits one note. And there's people that make really good rhythm, but like they understand music. So it's really hard coming into like this genre and like trying to write a successful song.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I personally, I do not have any experience in the actual EDM realm of making music, and it's
Yeah,
something that
yeah.
has always perplexed me. Of like, how does? I mean, I've seen the videos of, they put something up on like TikTok, or like they did this and this, and I
Oh, for
see
sure.
and
Like
I
Diddy
see
Gritty.
that,
I
and I'm
love
like,
him.
okay, and then but
Yeah.
I'm like, at the same time I look at that and I'm like, just look at the overall like, to me, I see that, and I don't, obviously I love the music. That's why I do the podcast. That's why I'm involved. I
Yeah.
want to be more involved in it. I love it, but I also look at it and I see it and I'm like, oh my gosh, like the way that
It's like
all.
complex until somebody breaks it down for you,
it,
and then it's really simple, but it's like so much practice to be like, oh, that's simple. Like, oh, I understand how to automate. I know how to mix down. I know how to do this and that. Like, there's a lot of like math behind it, but it's like still really cool. But it's just like what you said, like, it's just nothing to approach if you're looking for a short term goal.
with anything, you
And I feel
especially.
like that's with anything,
Yeah, absolutely. I
Like
mean,
there's
that's the way
very
I
few
see it.
things
Yeah.
that I can think of where you're like, okay, like I'm making all the money. Like I don't know.
And I think that's also parts has to do with it, is like when you go and take that, that leap of faith of like, I'm going to start doing this, there's a different level of like, all right, I'm going to take the safe route. Like when you take that safe route, things tend to be a little bit more easier, but there's not as much reward in the end. Whereas like, that's what we're saying, is like when you go, fuck it, I'm gonna make music the rest of my life, or I'm gonna do this podcast the rest of my life, like that's what I want to do. You kind of have to like start at square one and grind through it at first, because the potential outcome for later is a lot bigger.
Yeah,
Versus
and it's
like,
like really scary to like not have a plan B. Like, of course, like I do have a lot of like tools in the tool belt that like I can freelance and like make
mm-hmm,
money and do stuff. But like my boyfriend says that all the time too. Is he was like, you know, when you decided to make this decision, like you made it. Like you made it. You quit everything, and like that was it. And but that's also because I feel like there was some sort of a confidence behind it, where it was like, okay, if you do what you know needs to be done, you're gonna get where you want to go, but you're not going to get where you want to go if you're serving tables or working this other audio job that requires 60 hours out of your week and like do this and do that. So it's like I just kind of had to like suck it up and take like a huge decrease in income for the last few years, but like it's totally worth it. Like not a lot of people can do what they enjoy for a living. There's a very small percentage.
It's funny you say that. I'm going through a similar thing right now where I have to pick, and I had to pick a job or this and this, that, and that. And I felt that too. I'm like, I want to just call it and just take the less money and just work my ass off on this.
There's reason why you can't do it too. Like, it doesn't matter like how old you are when you get there if you have to work 20 years at a job. But like at one point in your life, I feel like you should be doing something that you enjoy.
I couldn't agree more. Like, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, that's that gets exactly how it is. And that's what life's all about, is you should start doing your things you want to do. And I think more and more people in our generation are starting to get like, you know, I feel like our parent generation was like, all right, we're going to work. I'm going to work this job. I'm going to provide.
Well,
I'm
it was like high school, college, have babies, raise the kids, do that. And I feel like our generation is just like so
much more. I want to do me and I want to be happy.
Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of people look down on us. But at the same time, I feel like, especially with everything going on right now, I feel like our generation has like this power to really like change the way that the next generation like looks at the world. Maybe not the next generation, but like 2 or 3 generations away. Like the kids who are in like elementary school right now, like by the time they're our age, I feel like if we do the right thing, the world could be completely different. Yeah,
and I also think the internet like very much helps us with that, because
oh my gosh,
it's something our parents for sure didn't have that we have.
Our parents didn't have the internet. Like,
no, not at all.
They have
and we can
the One News channel,
and we can use it. Yeah, the One News channel, and we can use the internet in a sense to kind of get to that goal of like, I want to do this. Like I have friends that flip stuff on the side. They don't go to work. They just flip. And make money that way. I have friends that sell shoes. I have friends that are doing podcasts like me. It's like all this different stuff, and it's all over the internet. And our parents have no idea. They're like, well, what does this mean?
They have no idea. Like,
that's not job security. And I'm like, I know it's not. No. It's fun though. I like it.
Especially with like what you see, what you just saw happen with the economy, and what you like see happen with other things. Like, no, I'm not extremely educated on it, but all I know is that like it gives people our age more of a reason like not to run a 401k, not to invest all your things in stocks, like not to, it's just like I've seen like some of my parents' friends lose everything, lose their retirement money, lose like everything from this. And I know so many kids exactly like us that are like 1099 contractors, they're real estate agents, they're fitness motivators, they're whatever. You can fucking make a living, a good ass living off of being an influencer if you do it the right way. Like I'm not saying that's great.
No, but it's
definitely
true.
Not great, but it's true. Like it's true. There's so many things that you can do that can make you not work a 9 to 5.
Yes, absolutely. And that's one thing I will say though, on the opposite end of investing is the fact that it can lead to more time wise freedom, because you make your money work for you.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
you know, again, you got to be smart with it, because there's so many people that
you have to be educated on it.
Yeah,
I am not. My boyfriend is. I am not.
Yeah, there's so much stuff out there. I mean, because like you say, you know, people that have lost all their money, and there's we don't have to get into finances obviously, but I can give you a brief synopsis of like sometimes you got people that like they'll tell you like you can put X amount of money in this and this and this, and you know, like for someone who's young, for instance, if I went to a financial advisor, a lot of times they tell us like put 70% in the stocks because you're young, you can take on the risk. But like then what you say right now, if I had 70% in the stocks, I would have gotten hammered. I'd have lost a lot of money.
And
right, and then you pull it, and then you never get that back.
Whatever. Yeah.
You sell it, but pull it. And everyone, I got what you meant. I got what you meant. But you know, there's other ways of doing it to where you're a little bit more. You're not doing it where you lose everything.
A little bit more protected. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, it's definitely. I mean, the dream is to like be making money when you're not working, or having money make money for you.
Right. Because you know we have to sleep, but the famous saying is like we have to sleep 8 hours, but money never has to sleep. So you know, eventually you get those. You know, you get big as an artist. You're making $1 million a year, and then you just start putting that in other stuff.
Well, your brand starts making money. I know so many artists whose brand are worth more than their music. Like the actual like image of them and like their merchandise and all this stuff make like 900 to 1,000 more % than their actual music. That's like it's wild.
And that's what's crazy is like I think a lot of people don't realize, and hopefully someone, you know, can mentor you in that as well, because I don't even know the full extent of it. But exactly what you're saying, like you're no longer especially in today's day and world, you're no longer just an artist. You're an artist, a public figure, a brand, like you're saying, it's
Oh my
all of it
God.
tied into one, and you have a chance to where you could capitalize on that, and
That's
hopefully,
why it's just like it's really hard and like frustrating for a lot of really great producers to like really understand this, but like making good music is just a piece of the pie. Like you can make
I agree.
phenomenal music. If you were smart, you would make phenomenal music and you would sell it to somebody who's big, who's going to pay 3 times the amount what it's worth to put their name on it. And you just stay inside, you make your, 200-300K and you live in a nice house. Done. But if you want to do this, like it's the social media, it's the understanding of social media algorithms. Like you have to be a media marketing manager, you have to be a producer, you have to be in shape, or you better make your brand about you being not in shape.
Something,
you have to do, you have to do all this shit. Like you have to have the image, like the res eyes, like perfect image of a brand, and the merchandise, and then like there's even more back end understandings to it, and having a tour schedule, and having a release schedule, and staying alive.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir. I love that stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people can't do it. And that's why there's teams. That's why there's managers, there's agents, there's publicists, there's this and there's that. And all those people are put in place for a reason. But, like, you can't do this by yourself. Like, most big artists literally have teams of, like, 10 to 15 people.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And it's funny because, I'm coming in on, like, I'm starting to get into it more and talk to more, interview more people, and that's something I've started to see more and more. I never in my life did I think about it until, like, I started, like, a year ago getting in and talking to more people and seeing it myself, and it's crazy, like you're saying, that it's a group of people coming together, and almost in a sense for certain things.
You can see it a lot when you, like, talk to an artist. Like, I'm very self-directed, and like I hold myself at like the head of the bow when it comes to like Lizzy Jane. I'm very vocal in the decisions that we all make as a team, and we work as a team. And then you've got other artists that are like, they're just there. They do what they're told. They put out the music that they're given, and they run the brand, and they keep their image up. And both are successful, but you'll definitely see as you interview more artists, and you can see it on their social media too, if they're a director in their project, or if they're just a piece of the pie, because that happens too. A lot of times I've met managers that like they're 90% of the project and the DJ is just 10. They do their thing, they travel, and that's it. And it's just you've got like, it's like a chessboard, and everybody's a different player. Everybody kind of has a different journey too, and that's why like I have Zoom calls and I'll like talk to kids who are just kind of getting into it. Like I'll give them advice, do whatever, and like there's no like path. There's like tools that you have to have in a toolbox, but like everybody's path is so different. Like right now you could blow up over Twitter if you did the right thing. Like it's just crazy. It's like you know everyone's kind of like road to like their own determined success is very different.
That was beautifully put. Just absolutely, you're nailing like everything I aspire, everything I think about, like working hard and all that. I just love when I get to talk and sit down with people that are very
I think it's like a commonality.
minded.
Like I think people who work hard and are successful, like whether it be now or in 10 years, like there are common characteristics of those who do work hard. Like there's a reason why people get where they're going.
I agree. But you put it, it's just when I talk to people, it's so, to me, again, I talk to some people that aren't really working hard and they don't care and they're just going through it. And like when I hear other people that are on that same level that I feel I'm on, like I want to grind, I want to do this, and this, and this, and this, and I'm working hard. So when I hear other people doing it, I'm like, fuck, I'm like, yes. And I get excited. So, all the power to you, all the props to you. You put that beautifully.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, it's almost time. We got to get going here. So tell me about any new music you got coming out. I know you mentioned a few, but get it out there.
So I had an official remix for Infinite drop last Friday. Super cool track. Had a lot of fun making it. Cool. It's on all of my music platforms, Apple Music, Spotify, SoundCloud, da-da-da. I have a release on a new label called Stratos. This label has not any exclusive artists. However, Dr. Ozzy, Chime, The Brig, myself, Asora, Millennial Trash, and a few other guys are part of the first compilation and have the first few singles.
Nice.
So I'm really excited for that. It's an original, coming out this Friday, and it's called I Am, and I'm singing on it, and then I produce the track with The Brig. The Brig is like honestly one of my favorite fucking producers. Like I've been playing out his music since I started playing on Fridays at Ritz. So to get paired up with him to do this track was really,
Very
really, really
exciting.
cool. Yeah, very exciting. And he's a Circus Records artist, so like that's cool. We have some stuff going on with them.
What
in
was his name
August.
again? I'm sorry.
The Brig.
The Brig.
He's from Russia. Yeah, he's awesome. And then next month we have one original dropping and one official remix dropping on a big label. I think it's next month. The big label remix may be August. And then we have the stuff with the Insomniacs crew happening in September, and that's a song that I actually just sang on, which is really, really cool because it's a vocal feature, but it's like a really big deal. It's definitely my favorite song that I've ever sang on, period. And then we have the EP for this fall, and that is Finding a Home currently. So
fantastic. All exciting stuff coming up the pipeline. I look forward to hearing it and everything. That's it. That's all I got for us. It was a fantastic time.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
When this is all over and like there's not thousands of people getting sick, we'll have an in-person
We will
interview,
absolutely have to do one.
better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.